the Galactic Council sold planet Earth for 18.4 trillion credits. It became the most expensive property transaction in galactic history. The buyers celebrated. The media called it the greatest investment ever made. The Galactic Council congratulated itself for completing a perfectly legal auction. 7 days later, every celebration stopped, because the buyers discovered one horrifying truth. Planet Earth wasn't empty. It never had been. More than 8 billion humans were still living there. And the galaxy had just sold someone else's home. What you're about to hear is taken from the final classified investigation into the event later known as the Earth Sale Disaster, an incident so humiliating that every official recording was erased from the galactic archives. Because no civilization wanted history to remember the day the entire galaxy accidentally tried to evict humanity from its own world. At precisely 9 o'clock Galactic Standard Time, the Grand Auction Hall illuminated with golden light. Representatives from thousands of civilizations filled the enormous chamber. Corporate empires, planetary governments, mining syndicates, luxury colony developers, everyone had gathered for a single reason: the auction of a legendary world. Above the stage, a breathtaking blue planet slowly rotated through the air. White clouds drifted across endless oceans. Green continents shimmered beneath the light of its yellow star. The auctioneer smiled. Lot number 731. Classification: Habitable Paradise World. Current status: Abandoned. A ripple of excitement spread across the audience. The archives confirm no surviving intelligent civilization. No legal heirs. No active government. No ownership disputes. The planet is eligible for permanent transfer. One businessman laughed. A paradise world with no population. That's the deal of the century. Bidding began instantly. 2 trillion, 5 trillion, 9 trillion, 13 trillion. The numbers climbed faster than anyone expected. Finally, a tall gray-skinned billionaire slowly stood from his private balcony. Chairman Zorvik, founder of the Orion Dominion Corporation, the wealthiest corporate empire in known space. He smiled confidently. If intelligent life had survived, they would have answered the auction notice. The room erupted with laughter. Then he calmly raised one finger. 18.4 trillion credits. Silence. No one challenged the offer. The auctioneer looked around the chamber one final time. Any higher bids? Nothing. Going once. Going twice. The golden hammer struck the crystal platform. Sold. Thunderous applause echoed through the hall. News drones rushed into the air. Headlines instantly spread across thousands of star systems. Planet Earth officially sold. Champagne glasses floated through the celebration. Executives congratulated one another. Musicians filled the chamber with victory fanfares. No one noticed the oldest man in the room. An elderly galactic archivist quietly stared at his terminal. His smile disappeared. His hands began to tremble. A forgotten encrypted file had just unlocked itself. Not because someone opened it, but because Earth had been sold. The old man frowned. That's impossible. He opened the file. Ancient warning symbols covered the screen. His breathing became heavier. No. He opened another archive. Then another. Each one made his face turn paler. Finally, he whispered words that no one else could hear. They never checked. His chair slammed backward as he stood. He looked toward the celebration with absolute horror. Stop the auction. His voice echoed across the chamber. No one heard him. The applause drowned out every word. The ownership transfer completed. The Galactic Council seal appeared across the contract. The transaction became permanent. At that exact moment, more than 200 luxury colony ships changed course. Their destination, planet Earth. Behind them came construction fleets, orbital cities, mining platforms, terraforming stations, everything needed to transform their newly purchased paradise. 7 days later, the convoy entered the solar system. Captain Lyra stood proudly on the bridge of the flagship. Begin orbital survey. Her officers smiled. No defenses, no civilization, no surprises. The scanners activated. 3 seconds later, every monitor froze. One young officer blinked twice. Then checked the readings again. His heartbeat accelerated. Captain, Lyra didn't look up. Report. The officer swallowed. I think our scanners are broken. She frowned. Why? His voice was barely audible. Because abandoned planets don't have. He stared at the impossible number glowing across the display. 8 billion intelligent life signs. Silence consumed the bridge. Captain Lyra slowly walked toward the screen. She looked at the blue planet below. Cities, satellites, air traffic, ships crossing oceans, children playing in parks, a living civilization. Her lips parted in disbelief. Then she whispered the words that would change galactic history forever. Who gave us permission to buy someone else's home? Captain Lyra couldn't take her eyes off the display. The blue planet beneath her wasn't abandoned. It was alive. Across every continent, cities stretched to the horizon. Satellites circled the planet. Aircraft crossed the skies. Ships sailed across the oceans. Millions of vehicles moved through glowing highways. And everywhere the scanners looked. Humans. Billions of them. The bridge fell completely silent. One officer finally broke the silence. Captain, the Galactic Archives classified humanity as extinct. Another officer quickly responded, maybe these aren't humans. The chief science officer zoomed in on one of the largest cities. Crowded streets. Families walking together. Children laughing in parks. Emergency vehicles racing through traffic. Everything looked normal. He slowly shook his head. No, they're definitely human. Captain Lyra immediately contacted Galactic Headquarters. This is Colonial Flagship Astra Dominion. We've arrived at planet Earth. There is a serious problem. The communication officer smiled. Congratulations, Captain. Has the landing operation begun? Lyra answered without emotion. No. There was a brief pause. Then Headquarters replied, what seems to be the issue? Lyra looked at the planet once more. The planet isn't abandoned. Silence. What do you mean? It has a living civilization. Another pause. Then laughter echoed across the communication channel. Captain, are you saying primitive animals are still wandering around? Lyra's expression hardened. I'm saying, there are over 8 billion intelligent humans living on this planet. The laughter stopped immediately. Back inside the Grand Galactic Archive, the elderly archivist burst through massive security doors. His breathing was heavy. I need immediate access to the original Earth files. The security commander frowned. Those files require Supreme Council authorization. They've been sealed for over 12,000 years. The old man slammed both hands onto the desk. Exactly. That's why nobody noticed the mistake. The commander hesitated, then activated the archive. Layer after layer of encrypted files appeared. Ancient warning symbols filled the screen. Finally, a forgotten document unlocked itself. Across the top, written in glowing gold letters, were the words, Property Status. Restricted. The archivist's heart nearly stopped. No, he continued reading. Every line made the situation worse. Far worse. Meanwhile, orbiting above Earth, Captain Lyra ordered every weapon system offline. No unauthorized actions, no landings, no communication with the surface. One officer looked confused. But Captain, we legally own this planet. Lyra slowly turned toward him. No, we own a document. That doesn't mean we own the people living below. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then the tactical officer suddenly shouted, Captain, we've been detected. Every screen switched automatically. Earth's space agencies had finally noticed the enormous alien fleet surrounding the planet. Across the world, hundreds of observatories focused their telescopes toward the sky. Military satellites changed direction. Governments declared global emergencies. Television broadcasts were interrupted. Phones began ringing. Air Force bases entered maximum alert. Inside NASA's mission control, one scientist stared at the impossible images. His voice trembled. There are hundreds of ships. Within minutes, every major government on Earth received the same message. Unknown extraterrestrial fleet detected in Earth orbit. Back inside the Galactic Archive, the final encrypted page slowly appeared. The elderly archivist read the first sentence, and the color disappeared from his face. His hands began to shake uncontrollably. He whispered only 4 words. We sold the wrong planet. At that exact moment, a priority transmission arrived from the Galactic Council. Emergency session declared. All ownership transfers of planet Earth are hereby suspended. Captain Lyra looked at the message. Then at the living world beneath her. She already knew. The real nightmare had only just begun. The emergency transmission reached every flagship in the colonial convoy. Every captain read the same words. All operations are suspended. Do not land on planet Earth. Captain Lyra closed the message without saying a word. Outside her bridge windows, Earth rotated peacefully beneath the fleet. On the surface, people were driving to work. Children were arriving at school. Families were eating breakfast. They had no idea that an entire galaxy was arguing over who legally owned their home. Far across the galaxy, the Grand Council chamber filled faster than it ever had before. Representatives abandoned trade negotiations. Military commanders canceled fleet exercises. Even the High Chancellor interrupted a peace summit. Within minutes, every seat in the chamber was occupied. The enormous holographic image of Earth slowly appeared above the center of the room. No one spoke. The silence was heavier than panic. Finally, the High Chancellor looked toward the elderly archivist. You requested this emergency session. Explain yourself. The old man slowly walked forward. For the first time in 40 years of service. His voice shook. Planet Earth should never have entered yesterday's auction. One council member frowned. The ownership transfer followed every legal procedure. The archivist nodded. It did. That's exactly the problem. He raised a small ancient crystal storage device. This file was never connected to the modern archive. It predates every government represented in this chamber. Murmurs spread across the room. The Chancellor folded his arms. Open it. The crystal activated. Ancient golden symbols floated into the air. Language experts immediately recognized them. No civilization had seen that script in over 12,000 years. One historian stood up so quickly his chair fell backward. It can't be. That's pre-Federation constitutional script. The archivist nodded. Correct. It belongs to a civilization older than the Galactic Council itself. The chamber became silent again. The first line appeared. World designation. Earth. The second line appeared. Status. Protected inheritance. World. Confusion spread instantly. One governor laughed. Protected by whom? The archivist didn't answer. Instead, he revealed the third line. Every heartbeat in the chamber seemed to stop. Sale of this world is strictly forbidden. Several council members immediately stood. What? That's impossible. We checked every ownership database. The archivist slowly looked around the room. No, you checked the modern database. You never checked the original registry. A cold chill swept across the chamber. The Chancellor's voice became unusually quiet. If Earth cannot be sold, then who owns it? The archivist closed his eyes for a brief moment. I don't know. Gasps echoed across the room. You don't know. He shook his head. The ownership field was intentionally sealed. Only one authorization can unlock it. The Chancellor frowned. Whose authorization? The archivist looked at the glowing document. Then answered with visible fear. The original custodians. Silence. One military commander crossed his arms. Then they're dead. They disappeared thousands of years ago. Which means this document is obsolete. Before anyone could agree, the archive emitted a loud metallic tone. Warning. Every screen in the chamber suddenly turned red. The crystal began rewriting itself. No one touched it. No one even moved. A new message slowly appeared across every display. Unauthorized sale detected. The room froze. Another line appeared beneath it. Verifying status of legal heirs. The archivist whispered. No, it still works. The loading symbol continued spinning. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. Nobody dared to breathe. Finally, the verification completed. A single sentence appeared. Every representative stared at it in absolute disbelief. Legal heirs found. Then, one final line materialized. Location confirmed. Planet Earth. The words remained frozen above the council chamber. Legal heirs found. Location confirmed. Planet Earth. No one spoke. No one even blinked. The Chancellor slowly looked toward the elderly archivist. Tell me, this is some kind of system error. The old man never answered. Because he already knew, ancient systems did not make mistakes. A military governor slammed his fist onto the table. This is ridiculous. If legal heirs existed, Why did every database list humanity as extinct? The archivist took a deep breath. Because the database never tracked humanity. Confused voices filled the chamber. What? It tracked the custodians. The moment the custodians disappeared, the modern system automatically marked Earth as abandoned. Silence. Someone made a terrible assumption. They believed the disappearance of the custodians meant the disappearance of humanity. The Chancellor whispered, and they were wrong. Terribly wrong. Far above Earth, Captain Lyra continued watching the beautiful blue world below. Cities sparkled beneath drifting clouds. Children played football in parks. Fishing boats crossed peaceful oceans. Millions of ordinary people lived completely unaware that they had just inherited an entire planet. Suddenly, every console on the bridge flashed gold. A priority transmission. Galactic Council directive. Captain Lyra opened it. Her eyes widened. Attention all colonial vessels. You are ordered to withdraw immediately. Do not approach the surface. Do not establish communication. Do not claim ownership. The sale of planet Earth has been declared legally invalid. A young officer looked confused. But Captain, what about Chairman Zorvik? Almost on cue, the billionaire's furious face appeared across the fleet's private network. This is unacceptable. I paid 18.4 trillion credits. I own that planet. The Chancellor appeared on the same transmission. No, you own a cancelled transaction. Zorvak's face turned red. I signed a legal contract. You approved it. You transferred ownership. The Chancellor's voice remained calm. And we also made the biggest legal mistake in galactic history. The contract is void. Zorvik shouted. I'll sue the Council. The Chancellor looked directly into his eyes. You may. But first, you'll have to explain to every civilization why you attempted to purchase someone else's home. The transmission ended. For the first time in his career, Chairman Zorvik had no reply. Back inside the archive, the ancient crystal emitted another soft tone. The golden letters slowly dissolved. A final hidden file unlocked itself. The archivist hesitated before opening it. This has never been seen before. The chamber became silent once again. The recording activated. A human woman appeared. She wore no crown, no military uniform, only a simple white coat marked with an unfamiliar emblem. She smiled gently. If you are watching this, then someone has tried to sell planet Earth. Every representative stared in disbelief. A human, speaking from more than 12,000 years in the past. She continued, my name is Dr. Elena Ward. I was appointed by the custodians as the final keeper of Earth. If this message has been unlocked, then the protection system has worked exactly as intended. The Chancellor leaned forward. The protection system, the recording answered as if she had heard him. The custodians were never the owners of Earth. They refused ownership. They accepted only one responsibility: to protect humanity until humanity could protect itself. Silence consumed the chamber. Dr. Ward smiled once more. If humanity still lives, then our duty is complete. She looked directly into the recording device. And from this day forward, no government, no empire, no corporation has any legal claim over planet Earth. It belongs to humanity. The message ended. The crystal quietly turned dark. No alarms, no dramatic music, only silence. The Chancellor slowly stood. He looked toward every representative in the chamber. Then he spoke the words that would enter every history book in the galaxy. Today, the Galactic Council recognizes planet Earth as the sovereign homeworld of humanity. No civilization shall ever claim ownership of it again. Across the chamber, every delegate rose to their feet. Not to celebrate, but out of respect. Far below, on Earth, the sun continued to rise. Children laughed on their way to school. Families shared breakfast. Birds crossed the morning sky. They never learned how close they had come to losing their home. And perhaps, that was exactly how the ancient custodians had always hoped it would be. The end. Thanks for watching. If you love epic sci-fi stories, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to HFY Sci-Fi for more unforgettable adventures across the galaxy. See you in the next story.